Please welcome Geoffrey Rush. Hello. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Dean.
Come on.
I'm good.
It's a really, really good film, but it's quite a story to have to get into. The character of a guy facing the death of his mother, and she's not that nice a person to him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and also he's an actor whose career is kind of taking a downturn. He's drinking heavily. It's a semi-autobiographical piece, I think.
Which is the semi part of that?
Well, it's making love to the director's daughter is not part of the research I did.
No, well played.
You know, I like characters that have surprising internal contradictions where you're not playing a couple of simple adjectives. And the great thing, of course, is Patrick White's novel is he writes very much in a kind of interior monologue. So it's like somebody gives you all the research you need to do for any role. It's there in the book.
Right.
And there are, you know, really wonderful tiny details that are so impeccably written, because Patrick is marvelous with complexity of language and insightful detail.
Could you relate at all to that son-mother relationship and watching an aging mother?
The rapport I have with my own mother is glorious. She's been the most supportive, generous kind of soul all through my life.
And it kind of happened later in life for you, relatively speaking. What was she like in your, let's say in your late 20s, even in your mid-30s, before it had hit?
I think our television network invited her down to Brisbane to watch the live feed from the Shrine Auditorium where the Oscars happen. And then, you know how they have the actor nominees in little boxes, and you wait to see where the dice is going to be thrown. They also had my mother in a little box. And when my name was announced, she fell out of her chair, just disappeared, just completely disappeared from the box. It was quite memorable.
And I know the answer probably is no, but something deep down, once you've reached those heights publicly, when you take roles and when you perform in roles, you are, I'm sure, aware of that. So you are looking for, can I find the next role that will put me in that position again?
But there's a fascinating trajectory, like particularly with Shine. It was the first time I'd been to the United States, and I remember going to do all that early press and publicity, and I was outside a restaurant downtown in New York during a very early junket, and a guy walked past and went, "Loved your movie." I thought, my God, I'm a Sydney stage actor, and a guy in New York has recognized me from a film that not many people have seen yet. I went back to Australia. 2 weeks later, I came back, and a college guy at the airport said, "Mr. Rush, I really knew my name now. Mr. Rush, I really liked your work in Shine." He named the movie, you know. I went back again. We got more accolades. 2 weeks later, I came back. The guy cleaning at the airport went, "Hey, Piano Man." And I thought, this is insane. And then you go through all the Oscar thing, and people say, "Oh, your work in Shine is marvelous, and isn't Scott in it?" They know a lot about the film. 6 months later, I'm shooting a film in London, and I'm walking down the street, and I could see this guy with the look of recognition in his eye. And he came up and he went, That's all he did. Couldn't remember the name of the film, couldn't remember my name, and I thought that's a life learning lesson.
It goes as quickly as it comes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Are you? Were you good with that? The adjustment to being recognized?
I think you have to radiate or try and find out who you are. I was fortunate that I was in my mid-40s when all of that happened, so I felt grounded enough. Yeah. And in a minor comparative way, within my 25-year Australian theatre career, within the industry, I had a level of respect or fame or, you know, presence or something like that. But I think it's what you radiate. I love reading. I got inspired because Frances McDormand was my co-winner for Fargo in that year. And I read an article about her, and she said, you know, I just go down to my neighborhood and I shop, and you mix in, and people give you street cred. I think if you're there with 6 people with mics and walkie-talkies and please move out of the way, you're inviting some other kind of Roman centurion. You know, there's a big arrow going, I'm here,
yeah.
you know.
Come get him.
Yeah, yeah.
Early 40s, kid, did you have a panic attack at one point? Did you look at your life and go, wait a second, is this going where I want it to go?
Yeah, that kind of happened in the theater, really. It was because I worked a lot. I was a slut. I was non-stop, back-to-back.
He doesn't mean that as a pejorative. It just means he was open and said yes a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's true. I just overworked,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Did you have those moments when that was happening where you thought, maybe I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. I mean, I don't think it's strictly associated necessarily with our profession. It became, at dinner parties, there were so many other people that in many different walks of life that sometimes came up against that same kind of brick wall.
Who do you go to counsel when you're having those issues?
Oh, I did everything. I did transcendental meditation, I saw behavioral therapists, I did various forms of medication, because the best thing was to get back on the horse. Because it first happened mid-performance in a play. So that was scary, because I thought, I love my job, and why has this thing got in the way of it? You know what I mean? So it's a desensitization process, you know. It's like I was a very cautious swimmer in my youth, because Australia is a very sporty country, and
right.
Swimming day at school was when I would kind of hide in the library, or, you know, stuff like that. But eventually, you know, I went on tour as a young actor, and we would do one-night stands all around outback Queensland and stuff, and we'd fill in our days by going to the swimming pool. And eventually I really enjoyed going into the deep end and things that I couldn't handle when I was 8, you know. So it's a similar kind of thing.
It's about growing into yourself, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of anthropology, are you still friends with the monkey in the first Pirates?
Yeah, the monkey. Well, you know, I count myself lucky as a kind of older character actor. I've worked with some really gorgeous leading ladies like Kate Blanchett and Kate Winslet and Salma Hayek and Charlize Theron, and sometimes there have been quite intimate scenes, you know. But the monkey in the monkey in Pirates was actually called Chiquita. It was a girl.
Yeah.
The monkey was doing one of the rarest and most successful transgender performances that Hollywood's ever seen. But the monkey had to wear a diaper all the time because they're very skittish, the capuchin monkeys.
Yes.
And I don't think any of my other leading ladies have had to resort to that.
But you don't think, but you don't know.
I don't know.
When you're in a scene, in an intimate scene, and then the director calls cut, do you ever convince yourself that maybe they really like me? Do you ever have those moments with
the actress?
Yeah.
Look, shooting that kind of scene is like a stunt sequence. You know, I did a film about Peter Sellers and
Life and Death.
Yeah, and Charlize was playing Britt Eklund, and we had to have this sort of amyl-driven, wild sex scene. And Peter Sellers, in reality, physically, I'm not remotely like him at all. And he was a very hairy man, you know what I mean? And because I had to have my shirt off and everything, I said, well, we can't make him completely non-hairy. So they did create a little bit of stick-on stuff everywhere. So I spent most of that scene making sure that that didn't come off onto Charlize's chest. I'd make sure that she didn't bang her head when we rolled out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is like... it's like that. But I did say to the director, can we just go one more time?
That's right. You played a speech therapist in the King's Speech. What's the most difficult tongue twister you know?
I actually, because I work with a vocal coach, I'm terrible at accents, and you know, whether I'm playing a pirate or whether I'm doing 48 voices as Peter Sellers, I have this marvelous vocal coach. And in homage to her, one of her exercises she used to give me was, I'm a thistle sifter. I have a sieve of sifted thistles and a sieve of unsifted thistles because I'm a thistle sifter. So I got that into the film. And of course, Colin Firth, who's a hilarious guy, every time we still text each other a lot. And I told him I was doing I said, I'm gearing up for donning the bustle to play Lady Bracknell and taping up the tackle. Because I'm a tackle taper.
You are
That's how we communicate. All I write now is I'm a tackle taper, in brackets, etc. You know the rest.
You're friends with him. Do those sorts of lasting friendships happen often after a film?
They don't. Well, it's hard to say. It's a strangely itinerant, fruit-picking, seasonal kind of job that we do, you know. But there have been sometimes very, at the end of 3 months, you move continents, so you lose touch with people. But Colin and Tom and I, particularly, there was a rather unashamed bromance that went on through the shooting of the film, and we have maintained very close contact. But it doesn't happen all the time.
As we approach 2012, what do you look forward to for the new year? What are you hoping the new year brings?
Curiously enough, I'm probably exercising some demons. A long-term theatrical collaborator, director friend of mine, who directed that production of The Importance of Being Earnest when I went through a bit of a bad time. He's going freelance now, and he's been with the company for over a decade, and he's decided to do The Importance of Being Earnest as a sort of signature sign-off production. So my wife, who played Gwendolyn back in 1988, we actually met at that point, and our honeymoon was the tour of The Importance of Being Earnest. So we're reviving that now, and this time around I'm going to play Lady Bracknell.
Well done. You and Chiquita.
That's my challenge for 2012.
It's called The Eye of the Storm. Geoffrey Rush, everyone.